Greetings, everybody. My name is Master Raven Mayne. I'm from the Kingdom of Atenveldt. I've been almost playing now for 30 years. And I was elevated to Laurel in 2012. When I was elevated, there was a lot of things that are surprising, that surprised me. A lot of things that I thought was going to happen was not, and things I never even thought of happened. So it's very surprising, a very wonderful journey and trip that the whole process of doing it. One of the many things I realized after I was elevated was that me and I found out it was not only me, but a lot of other individuals had really no idea on how they got there, because you're always trying to do different things and trying to well, let's see if this works, see if that works, trying to, testing things out and seeing, I'll get better at this, or maybe I should try. So you're always working at it. But you're very rarely do you reflect as you're doing it or record as you're doing it. So that way, when you reach your goals, you can look back and go, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't work for me. So I have an idea what my path was. So I've changed this class a little bit. This used to be really heavily into the teacher-student relationship between a peer and their student, but I've kind of changed it, altered it just a little bit so it's more generic, just a more of a generic of how to reflect on the path that you're on and kind of help you focus more on where you're going and what you're doing. So I got a PowerPoint. I will start. If you remember how to start it. Sometimes the screen gets in my way. There we go. Hopefully everybody can see that. Just when I wrote it, defining your personal essay journey. I also changed the title quite a bit, different times, to make it as generic as possible. So I will figure this out eventually. When you start your journey SCA, it's the when you're just a new person or a participant or a leadership peerage, just the journey of going through your SCA, just trying to see where you are, and when you're starting out to just keep track of where you're going. Now, I have it later on in here, but when I first started in the SCA, I started a what I call an SCA resume, and basically what it is a list of awards. Awards that I got, what offices I took, where I taught, if I did anything of note. I recorded everything that I did, and that was something that my Pelican, my peer, had me do. So I have all my apprentices do the same thing. So, because I was a protege and an apprentice, and it helped me out to to record everything. I'm going in as you go, so that usually helps out. So just like you do in the regular world, you want to dress for the job you want. So a lot of times that if you want to, if you want to be, up here, you might want to, dress a little bit better, or think about your clothes, or how you present yourself, because that's first. It's all first impressions. So even if you go for a job interview, or you're going to a party or people you don't know, you want to, you want that first impression to be always good. So if you dress a little bit better and concentrate, a little bit maybe on your persona, or just your clothes, just in general, it shows that you care about yourself. Again, all of these things are just my opinions and my philosophy. So, there's debate on back and forth, but these are just my thoughts. So again, you dress for the job you want. So we have, sometimes me and my wife, like I mentioned before, have a sewing group. So we talk to a lot of people who want clothes, and sometimes people want to, dress a little bit better. So lots of nights we have, trying to dress them up for court and things like that. So, or anybody dress a little better. Again, like you would in regular life, you have treat people how you want to be treated. So treat people nice. Always treat people as kind as possible. Lots of pleases and thank yous, just to be an all-around good person, so the people want to be around you. So you might want to do some self-reflection now and again, if you're just to make sure that you are, being the best person that you can be, being, someone that wants to be, you want to be around. If you're not having a good day, maybe, not going to an event is a good thing. If you could just, maybe go to an event and just, figure out a way to cheer up before you start doing everything. If you're going for a peerage, if a peerage is one of the things that's on your sites that you want to do, I usually recommend that you find a peer that you idolize, in a sense, or you think that is a really good peer. Or if you're just getting into an area, you're not sure who it is, the person that usually the peer that everybody kind of goes to for things. See what qualities that they have. Why are they admired so much? You don't have to copy them, but definitely just figure out what things make a peer in your mind. But also ask peers. If you can't, I haven't met anyone that wouldn't talk to you about history or anything that has to do with the SCA. So if you find a peer and ask them about what it's like being a peer, or what they think peer-like qualities are, and follow those kind of things.
We have a question in the chat. Someone's asking what a peer is.
Oh, I apologize. A peer in the SCA would be a laurel, a pelican, a knight, or a master of defense. Each one has students, and for the laurel, it's an apprentice. For pelican, it's a protege. For a knight, it's a squire. For MOD, if I remember, there's different terminologies, but their students are, the last one I heard of, I think it was a cadet. So those are the relationships in the SCA that are peer-student relationships. So how do you know when you or someone else is on the right road? There's really, every kingdom and every area is a little different. So you're not 100%, that's a little more vague. So you have to figure out what your particular area is, where you're playing at, on how it goes. So the one thing that sometimes you might hear is that you'll ask for advice and someone will say, just keep doing what you're doing. For a person or an artisan or a student, that's kind of frustrating, because you're like, well, I'm doing a lot of things. So do I just keep doing all of the things? But sometimes that's the only advice someone can give you, because they Not, I wouldn't 100% know what they're thinking, but most of the time that I've heard is that usually they say that because they don't know, or they think you're doing fine, so they just want to keep reinvent, think about things to do and keep moving forward. So make friends and be nice. So like I said before, just try and be the best person that you can be. So sometimes it's hard for, not everybody can do that. So it's just try and do it as often as you can. Just be kind to people, be nice to people. Just in general, be nice as you can. Like I said, if you're having a bad day or anything else, probably just stay closer to your friends who kind of understand what, that you're not having a great day. But if you're going to be out doing a lot of stuff, just be in general nice, and people are going to be nice to you. Be cognizant of your reputation. Now, it's not, you don't have to stress on it too much, but if you keep this in the back of your mind, it may help you, prevent you from doing something or saying something that may be construed as wrong. You can't really watch everything you say or everything you do. But like, say if you're angry or you're getting upset and you're thinking about, you're going to go confront somebody or whatever you normally do in your first instincts is maybe just to relax, take a breath, and think about, how can I resolve this in a better way? Unfortunately, not in every circumstance, but a lot of things people may, or especially if people don't know you, that may be the first time they ever meet you or ever see you. So if their first experiences of you being rude or being unkind or something, even if it's in a joking way to someone that's their first impression of you, and they may never, every time they see you, they can only remember that one thing. Unfortunately, not everybody's that way, but it's just something to keep in mind. So just keep track of what you don't want to be known for something that's bad. So just keep you might have to ask your friends or in the SCA to kind of keep an ear out, make sure that if things, rumors or whatever get started, not like you can put them all, take them all away or stop all of them, but this is just to be cognizant of your reputation. If you're ever in charge of anything, my philosophy is never turn anyone away willing to help. There's always a job to do. There's always something to do. You can, if you're in a position where you're doing and you're running something or whatever it is, whether it was putting up a pavilion or running an event or just cleaning up after an event, whatever it is, more hands make less work. But sometimes you're thinking, well, I don't need help. Well, maybe you can show somebody how to do it. Maybe you can teach somebody how to do it. Maybe they can come along with you just to learn something. That one day they can do it themselves. So I try making an attempt to make sure that I never turn away anybody that's offered to help. Especially you might make a new friend or there's so many positive things about it. The one major negative of that is turning someone away. They offered to help. They thought they could help. They did something. They put themselves out there. Even if it's just a minor thing, of putting away chairs or whatever it is, let them know that they're accepted, that they can help, they can be a part of us, they can be part of the SCA, they can, do things. So try not to turn it away if you can. Again, think about first impressions. Think about your first impressions and how the first time, if you greet somebody with a smile the first time, most of the time they're going to remember that for the entire time they run into you. They remember, oh yeah, when I first met them, they were happy, they greeted me, they were kind to me. So for first impressions, always make sure you're cognizant of how you look, how you act for the very first time. So if you're no matter what you're doing in the SA, if you're if you're an artisan uh, or you do service or you fight or whatever, and you ever find yourself sitting doing, not maybe not an event, and you're wishing there was something that you could be doing. Well, if there isn't, find a way to create it. So if you want to show your art, figure out a way to see if you can ask your local club, your local barony, shire, or someone from the kingdom. See if you can't, have a display or a competition. Find people to run it if you're not 100% sure on how to do that. Think of a tournament, maybe at a practice if they allow tournaments to practice. Eventually, when we're, all of this is when we're in person, or some of this you do on Zoom. But yeah, create the opportunity if it's not there. If there's not enough time, it's not enough way to be of service or to do arts or to fight or whatever it is. Create that opportunity. Figure out a way to do it. To be take a lead on this so that you can do what you want to do, so that you can figure out a way to be happy by doing what's passionate for you. Delegate helps so much when you're doing anything. So this goes back to people volunteering, or if you're in charge or anything, make sure that the person in charge is delegating, not you, as much as possible. Because sometimes the person who's leading, who's in charge, has a way of, they want things to be done. So always check with whoever's in charge if it's not you, but always delegate. Don't take everything on your shoulders. Even it out, so that way you're just in charge of a specific thing. Like I was in charge of an A&S competition, and there was a person that couldn't make the event but still wanted to help, and she volunteered to make all of the signs for the entire event. So she offered to help. I delegated. I said, now I don't have to worry about it. That person's going to do it for me, and that gives me one less thing to worry about, and I can just concentrate on the task at hand. So if you feel too stressed when you're doing a job, whatever it is, a task, whatever it is, if you spread it out and delegate and separate into different sections, sometimes the job's not going to be that stressful. If you delegate enough, the job's not going to be that stressful. Be a good leader. The difference is the boss is going to tell you what to do and wants you to do it. That doesn't really work well too much in the SCA because we're all volunteers. A leader is better, in my opinion, because what the leader will do is not only tell you what to do, but show you how to do things, teach you how to do things, and show you how. A leader shows another person how they can be a good leader themselves, and doing one task at a time. So be hospitable, always forever welcoming if you can. I know it's not easy for everybody to do, but like again, first it goes back to everything I just mentioned. First impressions. Try to treat people like you want to be treated. Always be welcoming to people. Always make that your first interaction with people, is to be welcoming and hospitable. So this one has some controversy into it. So as I've noticed over the years, is that I will recognize when someone's not having a good day, and they're not thinking, or they've had some, whatever was going on in their life, they're not really, something is happening. So I can usually tell that I've been in this kingdom long enough where I can usually spot someone's not really, wanting to be at the event, or whatever, something's irritating. So when someone else comes up to me or near me and needs to talk to somebody, I will try and veer them to talk to somebody that's maybe not having a bad day, who maybe is really helpful. I will kind of steer them towards the right direction if I can, if they ask me. I'm not going to hunt people down, but if someone is just maybe just a generally mean person or whatever it is, I try and steer people away from them if I can. They can go. I mean, it's up to them. Everybody has free will, so I'm not really aggressive about it, but I will kind of, if I find the opportunity, I will usually try and steer people, in one way direction or another. Be an active participant. This is the controversial part. People don't, not everybody, participant needs to be defined when I say it. So people are like, what do you mean by that? So what I mean by participant is that if you're part of the SCA and you're a paid member, hopefully a paid member of the SCA. So how do you be a participant? Well, participant as much as you can, because not everybody has the money and the time. So participant is kind of a relative term. If you can, I would say go to like your local meetings, officer meetings. That gets for me, that clears up questions, because a lot of times people say, well, I don't know, or they guess, or they just say what they think is going on if something is happening in their, happening in their local area. But if you go to officer meeting, you have a general idea of who's in charge. You may have an idea of how things happened, how an event happened, how things were decided on. So if you're as much as you can, be in the know. Be the person that knows as much information, factual information as possible, and not to guess at things. So especially if someone asks you or whatever, you want to tell them, what the Baron and Baroness said, or the King said, or the officer said to you. So be, that one person that you found out the reason, or instead of saying, well, I don't know, or, and like I said, like, I think this is how that happened. And then that becomes, someone says, now is now quoting you. So you don't want to do that. Participant, you try and participate not only on officer level, but go to events. Go to events that, which I've done in the past, over these years, is I go to events that aren't, I look at the title or look or whatever it is, and it's not my kind of event. So that's not good. Like I went to Glass and Metal Symposium. Now I like glass, but I don't really work in it. I've done some metal work, but not a whole lot. But I went to the symposium. I had one of the best times I've ever had. I went to the cooking and bardic, and I don't do bardic, and I've done cooking, but I went to the symposium. It was another great time. Before that, I probably went, well, I'm not into either one of those, I'm not going to go. But I went. So take a chance, go on different things, go to events. If you're not a fighter and there's no fighting, again, if you can't create the opportunity, still participate, still help maybe run the event or help in whatever it is. So being a participant regularly in events as much as you can afford or have time for. So that's hopefully that's as much a definition that I can gather, but you need more of them. Here's the SCA resume. Now, I just recently found out that this was something that people really wanted to know about. So, and it took me a while to put this in here, because it's something that I still keep up on. I still do. It's kind of like the regular resume, but obviously always towards the SCA. So it's got your name, name, your membership, number, expiration date. That always comes in handy, especially when you're doing warrants or someone asks you that for information, you can't find your card. If it's updated on your resume, you can always find it. A list of Kingdom awards or Barony awards or offices. Sometimes, I put down when I was, Barony ANS champion, I put that on there when I did it. So it's just the title of what it is and when I got it. Events I ran, classes, I taught, tournaments when I was fighting, the ones I fought in. I didn't get too detailed into it, but you could. Like on mine, I have for us and me in Atenveldt, I put I separated my war jobs from my regular job, from my regular kingdom or baronial jobs. So if I taught at Australia, or if I Australia War, which is our big war, or if I was if I volunteered for a job at Australia War, I put that on there, or but I also put my baronial ones in there if I was a different on that. They had a baronial word or a baronial job. Like I said, I updated it, and I put here Kingdom Awards, but baronial awards, Shire, not Shire awards, but I put them, I listed them when I got them. So, especially with events I've run and classes I've taught, that's come a lot in handy for me, because I would just sometimes I don't want to teach or do a lot of things over and over again. I like to try and expand and do different things. So sometimes I'll be like, I know I did this, or when did I do this event? So sometimes referring back to the resume to find out exactly what I'm doing. I also use this if like me and my wife ran for Baron and Baroness, we used it. If I want a kingdom position, I would, apply for it. I would include this in there. Or a baronial job, or whatever job, or Australia war job. I always not only put a regular letter in there that of how I would like to have that position, but I also put my SA resume in there, so they know that what I've done and what I've been doing. Not everybody does this, so I was Society ANS minister for 4.5 years, so I sent this in for that too. So. But it's always good to have and always keep updated, so keep track of what you're doing. And again, part of the reason for this class is to record your path. When you got things, this will help you when you go back to review of what you did and where you've been. You have a better idea. You have a better idea of the path that you're currently on and where you're going. So this is where usually class participation. So if anybody wants to chime in, otherwise they'll just kind of go through it. See, what is the one activity in the SCA that gives you enjoyment? So on the handout that I posted, I'll post before the end of the class. You'll have this on there. So in my in-person class, I have people fill this out as I go. And the reason, before I go through this, the reason I do that is so that you can write all these things down and more, wherever notes you are. And I tell people to hold on to it, put it somewhere, not necessarily in their safe place, because not everybody can find the safe place, but put it in a place, like in a book maybe, or somewhere you're going to be able to go to it in a future time, whenever that is. So, and what I ask people to do is go back and look at what you wrote a year ago, or whenever, sometime in the future, say 5 years from now or whatever, and you're still enjoying the SCA, and you kind of look back and see what your thoughts are and the answers that you put down, and see how much that's changed. So for instance, when I started in the SCA, I really wanted to be a knight. I wanted, if I could be a squire, I fought every time in practice. Went to a lot of practices, fought a lot of tournaments. So when I started in the SCA, a lot of my concentration was to be the most chivalrous example of a knight. And over the years, that's obviously that's changed for me, or maybe not obvious. I started doing more service, and then eventually I was always into art, so art just kind of took over my SCA life. So plus I physically became unable to fight, so I started doing different things. But in general, you can kind of get an idea of this will kind of help you. So not only can you look back on it, but maybe fill it out again. If you want to do another, see how it transfers from maybe a year ago. And then if you look in 5 years from now, and then you go back and go, well, you fill it out again. And if you want to actually see where your mindset was at the time. So it's kind of like a diary in a sense. But what is the one activity in the SCA that gives you enjoyment? So whatever that is. Now, can you enjoy that if you go, this goes back to what I had mentioned before. Can you enjoy, if you go to an event, can you enjoy that event if that one thing is not there? is that, you know, if you go to an event, you can't always have fighting or archery or a display for whatever reason. So see if there's see if you can find something else to do, you know, have more of a repertoire. I think that's it's the right word for it. Have a lot of if you can, try and have a lot of different interests, so that no matter where you go in the SCA or what events you do, you have something that keeps your interest. It may not be a passion, but learn something new. You never know. You might find something that you never thought you would like, and you never thought you would try, but now it becomes, you know, an interest. So always try things out. As a member of the population, how do you share your knowledge? So think about if once you learn something, in my opinion, the best way to keep it in your mind is to share it. So if you learn something and teach somebody, you'll remember a lot more. So it's just in general, a good idea to whenever you learn something to teach somebody how to do it. So how do you share that knowledge? Because the SCA, in my opinion, is really about sharing knowledge. So whatever you learn, the more people you teach, and they teach somebody else, and it kind of, you know, expands from there. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of people know how to do something. So it's really good to share your knowledge. So you have to figure out how to do that. It could be just one-on-one where you're just sitting at an event and someone just asks you if you're, you know, whatever you're doing, if it's, you know, art-wise, or if you're doing service or whatever it is, or fighting is more self-explanatory because you're out there fighting, so you're out in armor, and people might come up to you and say how they can get into it and stuff. So fighter practices for fighters is the best way to do it, or not necessarily at tournaments, probably because you're too busy, but figure out ways to share your knowledge with others. So even if it's just a place that you can go in someone's backyard to learn how, you know, learn how to fight, if somebody wants to learn how to fight. So figure out ways to maybe, if you can, have practice in someone's backyard, or for fighter wise. But for artisans, you try to, you know, maybe you can go to a collegium or have, you know, a showcase, or any kind of meeting. So sometimes you can have a baronial meeting or a shire or college meeting or whatever, where you can share something that you know. So if there's a way to take whatever you learned and share with people, you find the opportunity to share that with somebody. That also helps you be a good, you know, in my opinion, a good, you know, SCA participant, because you're taking that knowledge and you're sharing it. So there's ways to do it. You just have to figure out how to share it with other people, or to demo. Demo is a really good place to share knowledge of things that you know. So if you're, this is for those people who are on who would like to be up here in the SCA one day. So if you ever lucky enough, or, you know, fate kind of gets, if you ever become up here in the SCA, being up here is not, in my opinion, it's not the end. People, there's a lot of thought of once they complete a goal, that's it. They don't have to do anymore. That's kind of a general thing, but it seems like it gives off that impression sometimes to others. But no matter what your goal, whether it's if you become up here someday or not, as long as you're being happy and you enjoy yourself, that's what's important. But if you were to think about it, or even no matter what it is, even if it's just to be an officer, say you wanted to be, you know, Kingdom Seneschal one day, you always think about what you're going to do if that ever happens. So if that's the path you're on and you eventually get to your goal, make sure that you think about what you want to do once you get there. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to share with people? How are you going to, you know, now that you have whatever your goal was, what are you going to do with it? So always think beyond your goal. Always think beyond your goal. So and if your goal happens or not, but always have a goal out farther out, and what you're going to do with things that you get. Whatever, when it comes to an elevation, I call it a life-changing event. So a lot of things change, in my personal opinion. A lot of things change when you get elevated to a peerage. a lot of, like I said, mentioned in earlier things, very little is predictable. A lot of things surprise me when I get elevated, and it was just an interesting thing when I got elevated. So, but if if being hopefully maybe you fight in a crown tournament, become king, or or you run for baron and baroness and stuff like that. Those are still life changing things because you're in charge of a large group of people and you're doing a lot of stuff. So, but eventually you're gonna not necessarily stop being a peer, but for a lot of other things like jobs and things like that. Eventually it's you'll eventually stop, so you have to figure out what's your plan, what's your plan after that. Me and my wife, and we kind of share this with a lot of our friends, is that no matter what we do, we always have multiple plans. So we don't put all, like I said, like there's normally said, putting all your eggs in one basket. We rarely ever do that, and it helps us not be as stressed. So no matter what we're doing, so if plan A is maybe becoming baron or baroness, and that if whatever that doesn't work out, we still have plan B. So this plan B is we're going to try and apply to be officers for Australia. That doesn't work out, then we're going to go try and do a showcase. And if that doesn't work out, so there's a lot of things that we want to do. There's a list of things that we have planned. So so it may be sad or a little bit depressing if you don't accomplish a goal. But if you have many other plans, it's kind of, it doesn't hurt as much. It doesn't, at least for me, it doesn't hurt as much. It's not as tragic as it could have been when you have other things that, okay, now I have now you can have something else to focus on. Great power, great responsibility. This is all peer stuff. So just think about if I'll try and brief over this a lot of things because not everybody wants to be, or may not want to be a peer at the moment. But once you have that job, or once you are a peer, realize that people, whether they say it or not, really listen to you a little bit more. Not necessarily for any other reason, but just that now you're a peer, or now this is your, you have this job or whatever it is. All of a sudden now people pay attention a little bit to more what you have to say. So just be careful in how you say, like going back to everything that I said before, how you act, how your interactions with people, and how you perceive by people. So when you become a peer, a lot of, in my experience, a lot of peers that I've talked to, people all of a sudden expect you to be a master or expert at whatever you got elevated in. So just realize that. Obviously, that, but just realize that people are going to expect that when you say something, as a peer at least anyway, that it carries a little bit more power, and people will sometimes take things that you say as fact, and just be aware of that. I also take each milestone and enjoy the journey of the SCA. So what I mean by that is, in competition wise, whether once you've gotten there, once you've entered, whether you win or don't, whatever the outcome is at a competition, always take time to reflect on the fact that the job you did, the work that you did, that you accomplished the goal. You didn't, even say you didn't win an AS competition. Always reflect on that. Take some time to enjoy the time that you accomplished it. Whether it's a tournament, whether it's a competition, whether it's a job in the SCA, whatever it is. If one day you get chosen to be a peer of the SCA, whatever it is, take some time and enjoy it. Enjoy it as much as you possibly can. That because it's a lot of those things aren't going to happen, a lot. So enjoy every single time that it happens, and just reflect on what you did, and maybe not concentrate so much on things that didn't work out, but kind of learn from your experience as much as possible and move on. But definitely enjoy every goal and milestone that you do, no matter how small that you do. So this is about the future homework of the handout. So this is what I kind of already mentioned, is that you go and you put this, everything. If you took everything that I had on here and you print it out and you fill it out, look at it again, like I said, in a year, not usually months or weeks, because things don't change too much in that aspect, except for all of us in this last year. But yeah, just take what you wrote down and how you did everything, and reflect on, where you were at, where your mindset was at. It's always interesting to go and have a place to do that. These are just the closing thoughts. So just study, practice on being a good leader as much as you can. Like I said, if you see someone that's a good leader, talk to them, or just generally try and be a good leader. Because a good leader is a great thing in the SCA, because a lot of things don't happen because there's nobody to lead. Nobody wants to take the head rank. So if you can, try, just for the station you want. So if you want to be, this is like debatable, but if you want, for many, but if you want to be up here, maybe you should dress, just a suggestion that maybe you should dress a little nicer. Just like you're, for the station that you want. Be encouraging to everyone. It just helps out generally, just to be encouraging to everyone. Everybody seems, in my opinion, needs a little bit of a confidence boost. So anytime it helps by being encouraging people, it just helps generally. It helps everybody. Even if for whatever it is, even no matter for little things or that you ever are aware of, any kind of encouragement to anybody to do something, to try something new, to if they really want to do something, to be encouraging to do it. Be flexible in the sense that you can work in a group or you can work by yourself. So you want to be able to go back and forth and not be dependent too much on one or the other, but you want to be able to do whatever. If there's a task at hand, you want to have a wide scope of things that you can do with other people and all by yourself. So you have to be able to do either or, because sometimes you don't have the choice. So think on your feet when issues arise. All while keeping the best interest of everyone, even strangers in mind. So basically what that means is that you just be aware that no matter what you do, even if you've done it well, not a million times, but you've done something a lot, sometimes things are going to come up. That's why it's really hard, in my opinion, to have like classes about teaching how to be an officer, or teach classes on how to be how to run an event. It's really hard. The reason is because there's so many things that could go right and so many things that could go wrong. So you have to be able to be ready for that whatever you're doing. So if you can, try and think about that before you do stuff, but be able to try and figure out if there's a way to find solutions to problems, to issues when they come up. It helps things move along. So if you could try and maybe think about that when you're doing stuff. If you have any kind of negative thoughts or comments, because everybody has them at one point in time, do it. Don't do it at an event out in public. Preferably do it at home or somewhere else. If you really want to get your, if you're really angry or you have really frustrations, do it with your friend, vent with your friend, but don't do it at an event. So whatever it is, don't do it there, because you're affecting a lot of people, and you're adjusting other people's day. So try and do it somewhere else. But everybody's going to want, everybody has those times. So try not to do that, to vent in public, to try and, or your anger, even if you're angry at somebody, try not to do that in public either. That's just my advice. So yeah, voice your concerns or irritations to close friends in a private setting. Be in control of your reputation. Again, this is kind of debatable on what it means, but yeah, just be careful of, of what, just be aware of it. Sometimes you can't control it, but just be aware of it. Because if you'd rather not be what they say is that guy or that girl or whatever, is what they usually say. Maybe try and work against it if you can by, maybe trying to be a better person in general, trying to help out, trying to, create things and make things better for other people, and try and, you might not be able to erase it or get away from it, but at least if you're making an attempt to be a good participant, a good person in the SCA, so at least that'll help now. So the other one is to be a resource. Being a resource is excellent. There are many things that I don't know about, but I know people who know things, who have a very, have a passion for a specific thing in the SCA, no matter what it is. I know I have a lot of people like that in the SCA throughout the known world that I know I can refer to. That's good to be a person to be a resource, to be able to have someone come to you for information, especially if you're passionate about it, whether it's art or fighting or service or whatever it is. If someone's coming to you about it, as anybody in the SCA can tell you, they're happy to talk about it. So if you could become a resource for it, you'll have more people talk to you about it, and maybe share your enthusiasm about whatever passion that is. So being a resource is really great in the SCA.
I just wanted to give you a 5-minute warning for the end of class.
Thank you. You do not have to do anything. There are the things you should do. This is something that's kind of like in the vernacular, depending on where you're at. I've run into quite a few people who I would say they get stressed out because they say they have to do something. This is a volunteer organization. None of us have to do anything. There are things we should do. If you're an officer and you have responsibilities, you should keep to them. You should fill out your reports. You should, do your job. But you don't have to. And if you're in that position, you probably should not do that job. If you offer to do something, have more in the mindset that this is what I'm going to do. Instead of using the word have, you don't have to do anything. You should, like I said, you should do a lot of things. You should want to do a lot of things. If you want to do them, that means that's a good way to reflect on yourself, to realize that you are happy and you're enjoying yourself when you say, I want to do this. Can I do this for you? Or, or whatever the exchange is. As soon as have comes in, that's where, not for everybody, that could be just the way some people are, but we try and gear people away from that. My big thing and where I'm at, I try to be known for is saying yet. So I try and talk to people about arts and different things. And they say, I don't know how to do inkle. And I say yet. And I always do that with everything else, because I encourage people to try things, to do things as much as possible. So whether you like it or not, whether you think you might like it or not, speaking from personal experience, I try everything. I try my hand at everything and have a firsthand experience on whether I like it or enjoy it or want to continue it. I try never to say I know that about something I've never tried. I always want to have firsthand experience on stuff. So, but I say yet to a lot of people. So, because there's always, this brings back to a lot of things I've said in this class so far, is that thinking beyond, your goal or what you're going to do with your goal. There's always things that you're going to try. So So if you don't know something, hopefully you can figure out a way to easily gain that knowledge, gain that information on how to do something. So I always encourage people to do things, and by doing that, I always, like I said, every time they say something they haven't tried it or they don't know anything about it, I say yet. I put yet on the end of everything. Do not be somebody's dead end for help. This is kind of unavoidable for a lot, for many people. But basically, what that means is that if someone comes to you and says, who's running this event, and you're like, I don't know, that's not helpful. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're not having a good day. Whatever the reason is, try and be the person that at least has some information, or like I said, knows the resource or the place to get the information. Make sure that you're part of a throughway in one part or another. Try not to be the person that's that's not going to be able, that's not helpful or won't be able to do anything for someone. So, or if you help them or lead them or recommend they go somewhere if you don't know, but try not to be the I don't know, it's not my job, I have no idea, and then have that conversation end. So try not to be that kind of person. So if anybody has any questions, you have 3 minutes. That's me, I'm joking.
I have a question.
Sure.
If there are not many peers or a certain type of peer in your area, do you have any advice on how to find a peer that has the same interests as you?
Well, right now is first thing, in person, travel. Travel as much as you possibly can. I know everybody doesn't have the time or the money to do it, but whether connected to that question or not, I recommended people travel all the time, because you'll meet a lot more people and you'll be able to connect to more people that way. Also, if you're stressed or have trouble in your local area for whatever reason, personality wise or whatever, going outside your kingdom and being a brand new person sometimes, it helps you realize that the SCA is not just close within eye view. It's actually expands more than that. Right now, a really good thing is because we're on the internet, because of Zoom and everything else, there's a lot of classes, there's a lot of ways to reach out to different peers all over the place. If a peer is teaching a class, there's a way to do, a breakout room where you can talk, one-on-one, or find or just in general, just to talk to peers. Sometimes they'll have an idea of who you can talk to by talking to you and you talking to them and kind of getting back and forth about what you're looking for in that kind of relationship or wherever it is. So right now Zoom is pretty good, so you could probably, it's a little hard doing it on Zoom, but there's a way to find out, especially if you have a passion for a specific thing. There's a Zoom class on it somewhere, and in that circle there's usually a peer that might have that same exact passion that you can kind of glean information from.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. My time is officially up, but I don't know if it's on the handout. It should be. But if you look up Raven Mayne in Atenveldt, you should be able to find me if you have any questions about anything or about anything in this class. That'd be appreciated.